Next topic, curved mirrors. Already last class we discussed about laws of reflection. So according to the laws of reflection, you know the first law is incident ray, normal of the plane, reflected ray, all are lie on the same plane. The second law is the angle of incident is always equal to angle of reflection. So these laws are applicable to all type of curved surfaces. So in lower classes you have studied that there are many types of curved mirrors such as spherical and a parabolic mirror. The most commonly used type of curved mirror is spherical mirror. So in this unit we are going to discuss about the spherical mirrors. Spherical mirror, in curved mirror, the reflecting surface can be considered to form a part of the surface of the sphere. The reflecting surface to be considered to form a part of the surface of the sphere. Such mirror whose reflecting surfaces are spherical are called spherical mirror. Okay, the mirror whose reflecting surfaces are spherical are called spherical mirror. Okay, the reflecting surface is spherical surfaces means the type of mirror is called spherical mirror. In some spherical mirrors, the reflecting surface is curved inwards, that is, it faces towards the center of the sphere. Is towards the center of the sphere. They are called concave mirror. In some other mirrors, the reflecting surface is curved outwards. In some other mirrors, the reflecting surface is curved outwards. They are called convex mirror. Okay, students, first you need to understand there is a two type of mirror. One is concave and another one is convex. What is the concave? Concave means here the reflecting surface is curved inwards, that is, it faces towards the center of the sphere, is called concave mirror. In some other mirrors, the reflecting surface is curved outwards. They are called convex mirror. So now we are going to discuss about one activity. Hold a concave mirror in your hand. Direct its reflecting surface towards the sun. Direct the light reflected by the mirror onto a sheet of paper held not very far from the mirror. Okay, like this. Okay, it is a concave mirror. The concave mirror is placed the directions of the light, and then the paper is placed near to the concave mirror. Move the sheet of paper back and forth gradually until you find a bright, sharp spot of light on the paper. Position of the mirror and the paper at the same location for few moments. What do you observe? Why does the paper catches fire? You know that. Okay, when the concave mirror is placed in the directions of the light near to the paper means after few seconds here the paper is burned. Why does the paper catches fire? Okay, so the answer for this question, for this activity, the rays of sunlight are hitting the concave mirror and reflecting back. The rays of sunlight are hitting the concave mirror and reflecting back on the focal point. Reflecting back on the focal point. By making his object the focal point, multiple rays of sunlight are hitting the object. Multiple rays of sunlight are hitting the object. It's allowing it to catch fire. Multiple sun rays, it's focus at a single point, so it allowing to catch the fire. Next, image formed by spherical mirror. Image formed by spherical mirrors. We saw The parallel rays of sunlight could be focused at a point using a concave mirror. Now let us place a lighted candle and a white screen in front of the concave mirror. Adjust the position of the screen. Move the screen front and back. Note the size of the image and its shape. You can see a small and inverted image. You can see a small and inverted image. The diagram is also shown. Here we placed one concave mirror. We placed one candle. Other side we placed one screen means. Here there is produced one of the inverted image. Slowly bring the candle closer to the mirror. What do you observe? As you bring the object closer to the mirror, the image becomes bigger. Try to locate the image when you bring the candle very close to the mirror. Are you able to see the image on the screen? Now look inside the mirror. What do you see? An erect magnified image of the candle is seen. An erect magnified image of the candle is seen. In some position of the object, an image is applied on the screen. However, at some position of the object, no image is obtained. At some position, here no image obtained on the screen. It is clear that the behavior of the concave mirror is much more complicated than the plane mirror. Okay, so when you place one of the plane mirror means at whatever the position you place the candle, you can see the image on the screen. But the concave mirror, in some of the position, there is no image formed on the screen. So it is clear that the behavior of the concave mirror is much more complicated than the plane mirror. However, with the use of geometrical technique, we can simplify and understand the behavior of the image formed by a concave mirror. In the case of plane mirror, we used only two rays to understand how to get full image of the person. But for understanding the nature of the image formed by the spherical mirrors, we need to look at four specific rules. To understand the rules, now we are going to discuss about the rules for construction of image. To find the position and the nature of the image, formed by a spherical mirror, we need to know the following rules. Rule 1. A ray passing through the center of curvature is reflected back along its own path. A ray passing through the center of curvature is reflected back along its own path. Okay, so the incident ray, if it is allowed to passing through the center of curvature, the center of curvature means here you know that it is one of the spherical mirror. Here this part is one of the part of the sphere. Okay, this surface is one of the part of the sphere. You consider the sphere. You consider the sphere. The sphere, it has a shape like cricket ball. You consider this part is one of the, this surface is one of the part of the sphere. Part of the sphere. So for the sphere, you can choose the center of the sphere. The center of the sphere is not a letter C. So this is called center of curvature. Center of curvature. So if the light is allowed to pass through the center of curvature means it is incident on the spherical mirror, then it is reflected on its own path. It is written back in the same path. Rule 2. A ray parallel to the principal axis. So first you need to understand what is in the principal axis. Principal axis means it is the axis, it is passing through the center of the curve. It is passing through the center of the curve. This is called principal axis. A ray parallel to the principal axis passing through or appears to be coming from the principal focus after the reflection. So here this is the incident ray. The incident ray is parallel to the principal axis. This is a principal axis. So the ray is parallel to the principal axis means after the reflection here this rays is appear to be coming from the principal focus. This is a principal focus. It is not a letter F. Okay students. Rule 3. A ray passing through the focus. This is a focus point. A ray passing through the focus gets reflected and travel parallel to the principal axis. The incident ray is passing through the focus point and it reaches the reflecting surface means after the reflection it is parallel to the principal axis. Okay, according to the rule 2, if the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, after the reflection the reflected ray passing through the principal focus. According to the rule 3, if the ray is passing through the principal focus, after the reflection is parallel to the principal axis. Rule 4. A ray incident at the pole of the mirror. This is a pole. A ray incident at the pole of the mirror gets reflected along a path such that the angle of incident APC is equal to angle of reflection. Okay students? So a ray is incident at the pole. After the reflection it is along the path such that angle of incidence APC is equal to the angle of reflection, that is BPC. Okay students, these are the rules to get image from the reflection of spherical mirror. Thank you students.
We are going to learn the uses of acids. Very important topic. Uses of acids. Uses of acids. The first use of acid is about the king of chemicals, sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is called as the king of chemicals because it is used in the preparation of various compounds. And also this sulfuric acid is used in the making of car batteries. Sulfuric acid is used in making car batteries. Car batteries. So this acid, sulfuric acid, is called as the king of chemicals. Okay. Then hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is used as a cleansing agent for toilets. Cleansing agent for toilets. Nitric acid. The next acid is nitric acid. Nitric acid is used in the making of fertilizers, mainly fertilizers. Nitric acid is used in the making of fertilizers. See then, oxalic acid, it is used in removing manganese deposits and also iron deposits. Okay children, iron, what is the symbol for iron? So I am writing Fe, iron deposits. And also it is used as a bleach for wood. Oxalic acid is used as a bleach for wood. wood. Citric acid and tartaric acid. Citric acid is used as a food preservative. Citric acid is used as a food preservative. Food preservative. Tartaric acid is used in the making of baking powder. Tartaric acid is used in the making of baking powder, children. Baking powder which is used in the baking of cakes. Okay, so baking powder's main constituent is tartaric acid. So these are some of the important uses of acids. Okay, children. Sulfuric acid, it is used in car batteries, called as king of chemicals. Hydrochloric acid, it is used as a cleansing agent for toilets. Nitric acid, used as fertilizers, used in the preparation of fertilizers. Oxalic acid, it is used to remove the stains. It is used to remove black stains. Then it is used to remove manganese and iron deposits, stains. It is used as a bleach for wood. Citric acid is used as a food preservative. Tartaric acid is used as the main constituent of baking powder. Okay. The next one is aqua regia. It is also called as king's water. Okay, children. The next topic is aqua regia. Aqua regia. It is a yellow orange fuming liquid. It is also called as king's water. Okay. Its importance is it is used to dissolve noble metals. Especially, it is used to dissolve gold, platinum, and also palladium. And that's why it is called as king's water. What is aqua regia? It is a mixture of 3 volumes of hydrochloric acid and 1 volume of nitric acid. These elements, gold, platinum, palladium, when they separately react with hydrochloric acid and nitric acid, they don't get dissolved in hydrochloric acid or nitric acid. But when hydrochloric acid and nitric acid are present as aqua regia, that is the 3 volumes of hydrochloric acid and 1 volume of nitric acid is present, then these elements, gold, platinum and palladium, they dissolve in aqua regia. Okay, children. So aqua regia is mainly used for dissolving the noble metals and also used in refining gold. So these are the main uses of aqua regia. Mainly it is used to dissolve noble metals. Noble metals like gold, platinum and also palladium. Okay. Then it is mainly used in the refining of gold. It is used in the refining of the metal gold. Okay, children. So this question is very, very important. Aqua regia. Aqua regia is also called as king's water. It is a yellow-orange fuming liquid. It is a mixture of 3 volumes of hydrochloric acid and 1 volume of nitric acid. The main application of aqua regia is it is used to dissolve the noble metals like gold, platinum and palladium. and also it is used in the refining of gold. Okay children?